Hey, this is Notser, and today we're taking a look at the special ship, Forrest Sherman. This is the Tier 10 American destroyer, which is currently available for 232,000 coal. It just recently went on sale for that. Prior to, you could obtain it in a random container, which we all know how lovely that can be. So I'm glad that obviously you can get it for coal now. Let's talk about what builds and tactics and showcase a game for those of you who are interested in potentially spending your coal on it. For the build that I'm using, main armament mod 1 just protects from incapacitation, extended duration hydroacoustic, works really nice on this ship, improved main battery accuracy, improved acceleration, concealment, rate of fire. For the commander, incoming fire alert, last stand, survivability expert, concealment, radiolocation, adrenaline rush, superintendent, and preventive maintenance. I really like this build. It works well. The Forrest Sherman is one of those ships that was initially examined to be punished more from the inconsistencies or the lack of server tick rate update. So it doesn't benefit as much as it would from a direct damage per minute build that you might go. So, it aligns very nicely with my build style, which is more for survivability and intelligence gathering. So that's why I have radiolocation, that's why I have survivability expert, that's why I have superintendent. Honestly, superintendent is a great example of a skill that you probably should go for on the Forrest Sherman. Now, the unique playstyle is high rate of fire, single gun turrets that can fire either high explosive or sap. So this is something that is supposed to whet your appetite for the sap shell on DDs, because you're going to get a lot of it with the Italian DD line that's coming out soon, and they did just nerf them on the dev blog, so that's something else entirely. But on the Forrest Sherman, it works out really nice. Most of your guns are in the rear, so you will have to keep that in mind. In this situation, I decided to move forward, and I have hydroacoustic activated. And, of course, we spot pretty much everyone in the kitchen sink when it comes to torpedoes. But we don't have to actually deal with activating our smoke unless we want to do direct damage, which I decide, okay, now that we are in a good position, my hydroacoustic literally extends past the capture, so if an enemy DD wanted to, they would have to come directly through me in order to actually capture the base. As it stands, they're not going to be able to do that. So we're sitting in our smoke and we're just firing on cooldown. You'll note that a lot of times in the Forrest Sherman, I'm going to be doing some free looking. If you right click when you're firing, it will maintain the same heading for your ship to aim at. So you can casually look to the left or look to the right while you keep up a sequential fire on a target and still hit them relatively, effectively. Now this enemy Shima is a little brave, coming around the corner knowing that he doesn't have the intelligence to make that play. We conveniently, to avoid or to get in range of doing damage to the Shima, actually work out and avoid those torpedoes. But hydroacoustic is a great tool to use in smoke, obviously, and it allows you to play more aggressive. In this situation, I would encourage all the American Forrest Sherman players to potentially activate hydroacoustic. It's just, your smoke is really long and beneficial. Clearly, we still have like a minute left, and we're just killing this guy, like, easily, by the way, with sap. The shells just actually have to land on him for me to actually kill him, but we do end up killing him. But the smoke hydro combo is just too obvious to not use in this situation, and the duration of the smoke really makes you a huge target. So don't sit in Forrest Sherman smoke expecting to not take torpedoes, because it's going to draw torpedoes very, very, very fast. Now, that's not the only thing that the Forrest Sherman offers. It also has some interesting torpedo systems. Now, they are not launchers that are midship and have a neutral position. They are actually fixed forward at sort of a 45-degree angle off of the bow and the stern, after the bow, either port side or starboard side. And you literally have to move the entire ship in order to send the torpedoes. but they have a low cooldown, they move fast, and you have up to 4 that you can use pretty effectively. It's an interesting mechanic. It kind of reminds me of the German destroyers early on. It's a play style that doesn't really last very long. So applying it to a unique special ship like the Forrest Sherman, I'm cool with that. It just offers more variety. And actually, we actually get a torpedo hit. My hydroacoustic is still on cooldown, but this guy is easy prey. So we just have to aim for the solid mass, and every time the sap hits the solid mass, it's going to do tons of damage. He's not the only one, though. There is another enemy destroyer, and these gun turrets are very quick at the 360. I mean, this is a like early 60s, late 50s design. So the idea is not necessarily the most equipment, so it can't compare to like an all-out war design, but this is a managing destroyer. It is high health, actually, with just under 26 or 27,000 with my build. The Ragnar, for example, has 30,000, and that has, I think, the most health of any DD. But, you know, it has a lot of health. It doesn't have a lot of guns, per se, but they have a really high rate of fire, so they get a lot of value out of the guns that are actually equipped. The AA is pretty good, considering it has defensive AA. It has hydroacoustic for obvious torpedo situations, but in this situation we don't have to worry because there's nothing close that could potentially torpedo. And you're gonna, you know, sap does a great amount of damage, but you only have so many sap shells. I could switch to high explosive, I would do less damage and potentially light the target on fire, but I wouldn't have the upfront burst that sap provides, and it works much better on a smaller ship. When it's a situation like this really is just a gunboat camping in smoke. This is Harugamo, Kitakaze, every ship that you could imagine that does this. There's nothing different about this. So, yeah, if you're looking for a more exotic experience, you're not going to get it. This is just a really refined design that's sort of a smaller version of the Austin for the Americans. It gives you that kind of, it gives you a little bit more with obviously less. You don't have a citadel. You don't have as many guns. You don't have some type of main battery reload. But what you do have is you have that sap, which is really nice. You can still send torpedoes, which, you know, these are very utilitarian developed torpedoes. They are surprisingly effective, but they are not going to be effective in the same type of scenarios as you might expect. Like, the Forrest Sherman is not a good anti-battleship rush ship. I mean, it definitely could sit in smoke and fire, but it can't stop them with its torpedoes. Its torpedoes, you just need one simple juke. The Germans, especially with hydroacoustic, they're not going to worry too much about that. Obviously, since it's a DD, you drive onto your submarine target to deal with, so that's going to be it. The sap shell is obviously useful when it hits the target, but when it doesn't hit, it doesn't do what it could do. So, you know, you're kind of fighting with yourself against a sub. That's not a big deal, though. It doesn't happen as frequently. What is a big deal is this is a Tier 10 American DD that has sap and works well with it. I wouldn't necessarily encourage a gun reload, but it works very well nonetheless. And as long as you go for maybe some more utilitarian, like Superintendent, I do feel like Superintendent is kind of a mandatory skill here. There's just not enough smoke consumable. You can see we basically have been sitting in our smoke cloud for the whole game, and it's only 10 minutes in, and we only have one more charge left. So you have to be kind of crafty with borrowing other people's smoke or playing around islands. Obviously that means ocean is not a good choice, or open water. This is not a ship that is nimble. This doesn't have the same advantages as, say, a Ragnar or a French DD or an Italian DD for that matter. It doesn't have speed, but what it lacks in other areas, it makes up for in its primary area of gun damage. SAP is a very awesome tool. Highly recommend players get used to fighting with and against it, because you will be doing that with the Italian DDs. The Italian DDs are not this way though. They are far more extreme in their design. This is very much smoke firing DD that has fixed torpedoes and SAP flavor. There's not a huge revolution design. So if you're looking for that, I would probably hold off and wait for an Italian DD premium. But if you're looking for enjoying SAP's key advantages and an American flavor, well, the Forrest Sherman is the right choice for you. Thank you. If you enjoyed it, please like the video. You can also subscribe to my channel. I stream at twitch.tv/Notser. Thank you and have a wonderful day.